It's not negative, actually. It's just interesting, and I think it's worth addressing. Yeah. I'd be amazed if Arteta isn't thinking we need to perhaps do something about the amount of chances and goals we concede away from home. Now, I've been trying to understand why, away from home, we just feel a safer team. I know at Villa it was 4-2 and it was basketball, but that was trying to get out of a blip. Leicester, though, brilliant away from home. I'm trying to think of the games before that. Everton, Everton, I know we conceded quite a few chances, but it was only 1-0. Like, it feels that at home we're just more open, more expansive, all the way from that very first game of the season at home to Leicester.
When you think about it, away from home, the wins at Palace, Brentford, before the World Cup,
Wolves, clean sheet, Leicester,
Tottenham,
clean sheet, Chelsea, clean sheet, Tottenham,
it's things that we're more concentrated when we're away from home. We defend better away from home. At home, we seem, I think, to lose concentration, and also maybe you could argue, are we, pushing too much at home that we get caught on the sucker punch? But yeah, the home stats, if you look at those possession numbers, does reveal sort of like, home. We are sort of like.
We're more open.
We're more open, aren't we?
Yeah, we're more vulnerable at home. I actually even forgot.
What's your theory? Why do you think this is?
Well, let me go through these numbers. And actually, there's a number I've forgotten to add to this graphic. Apologies, as I said, there's so much. I forgot some stuff. But our average possession at home, 64%, which is more than our average away, which is 57%. Fine. Now, here's a stat that I forgot to add, that our average goals conceded at home is 1.3 per game. Our average goals conceded away is 0.69. So we're conceding, on average, over a goal a game at home, and we're conceding less than a goal a game away from home. You see that in the amount of clean sheets. I think 8 of our 10 or something are away from home compared to at home, where it's only like 2 of them. But our expected goals, so not goals, expected goals per game at home is 2.38. Our expected goals per game away is 1.73. You'd expect that. We're shooting more at goal, we're having more shots, we're dominating games. But again, and these are numbers via Understat, I did the number crunching myself. People will analyse XG differently, but again, the message is always the same. Our expected goals against per game at home is 1.09, and our expected goals against per game away from home is 0.94. Now, for context, Man City, the league champions last season, at home, their expected goals against was 0.66. So what all these numbers telling us, and me, and you asked me what my conclusion is to all this, I think that Arsenal away from home have a very controlled, professional, focused demeanour about them. They are totally respectful of what can happen with the opposition, and they play in that way. They're happy to drop into a deep block if they have to. They're happy to just bide their time in moments. It was 0-0 in the first half against Wolves. It was 0-0 in the first half against Chelsea. It was 0-0 in the first half against Leicester. We didn't blow these teams away. We were actually very happy to let them have. It was only 1-0 at home to Palace. In fairness, we were 2-0 up against Brentford. But you get my point. We were kind of happy to respect the opposition. At home, I think, that might look like it's only 7% more from 57 to 64. But that's a 14% swing. The opposition have 7% more as well. So I think Arsenal go more punch for punch at home and perhaps lack a little bit more focus. And some of the goals we've conceded all the way back from that Leicester game at home, where it was just frustrating, like it's a Saliba header and Ramsdale slightly too far, but it's kind of no one's fault, it's just what it is. James Maddison scoring at the near post, Marcus Rashford with that goal from distance because Partey is chopped a bit too easily in that goal. I just think there's far too many moments. We saw it with Everton. I know it was a 4-0 win, but they had a lot of chances in that first half where we were caught a little bit in transition. And I think Arsenal are just, I get it, they can go punch for punch and win games, and hell, they've done it. They have gone and won a lot of games going punch for punch. But when you don't, I think you could just get caught on your errors, like against Man City, and when it opens up a bit, and concede more at home. And I think, while I don't want Arsenal to be more reserved, because we can score goals, I think just a little bit more concentration, I feel, and we'll get through those tougher periods a bit more easily. Let's talk about the Bournemouth opener, because as praising as we are of the way Arsenal pressed across the pitch, and the stats say it, we did concede the first goal, and it was in 9 seconds.
9.11 seconds.
9.11, I mean, it's unbelievable. I've got quite a lot I want to say about this, to the point where actually I'm going to show you this goal in 2 different angles. Now, the first thing is, this is a routine from Bournemouth. You mentioned that someone mentioned that they actually scored a goal like this in the Championship. So I think they have been.
They scored a goal last year against Fulham really early in the game from a kick-off. I don't know if they replicated this, but it was something that they created at a kick-off. So they have got a knack of looking to create situations from kick-offs.
Fine, very clever. Now, what I see here is Bournemouth overloading the left-hand side, and so Arsenal's right-hand side trying to address it.
Yeah.
But I've pinpointed out exactly where every player stands here, and it's very strange to me because the midfield three of Vieira, Partey and Odegaard is already disjointed. It's already pulled all the way over. Now, what we see Partey do is drop into the back line. Now, the first time we noticed it, and you broke it down brilliantly, was when we won at Turf Moor 1-0, and Partey kept dropping into the back, into the centre-back partnership to make it back three. So it's not the first time that Partey's dropped extremely deep, but what it does is it puts us completely on the back foot when they actually end up switching the play to where the space is really open. So the Arsenal players are all the way across here, and we'll just show it at half speed. So Solanke takes it, Rothwell clips it over. Now at this point, Vieira and Odegaard are the two central midfielders trying to get across, but Partey's all the way out here. I'm not blaming Partey, there's actually so many people we're going to talk about when it comes to this goal. So it comes out wide to Ouattara. They're running us, they're coming forward. At this point, Partey is trying to sort of resume a holding midfield position because I think he's kind of realised that I'm so far away from the action of where I need to be. Billing runs off him, and it takes just a little touch off Gabriel that I think just takes it away from Saliba and Partey as well. I actually think it's a little unfortunate for Gabriel, Partey and Saliba. I think there are others that can do better, and that's where I'm going to illustrate that in this second angle, this one here. So again, let's go all the way back to the start of this goal. So they take the kick-off, out to Rothwell, and again, out wide to Ouattara. Now again, you see what I like about this angle is you kind of get a little bit of a better idea for the spaces. Vieira's having to come all the way across. Fair play to Martinelli. He actually works really hard to try and get back. But at this point, I want to pause it at the right bit, just a little bit before. There we go. Here. So, two other errors for me, maybe three. I think Zinchenko and Martinelli should do better to stop the cross from Ouattara. He takes it with his right foot. I just don't think they should be allowing that. There's two of them. You know, Zinchenko can worry about the outside and Martinelli can block the cross, whatever. They can do something. But the other thing I wonder is whether Vieira, and I'm not blaming him, again, it goes wrong in so many ways here, but there's a big gap between Vieira and Gabriel here. Now, I'm not saying that Xhaka not starting is the reason we concede in the first 9 seconds, because purely having a body there is enough. But I think there's too much of a gap between Vieira and Gabriel. That's why Gabriel sort of sticks a foot out to try and do something, and then it's just an unfortunate deflection that takes it beyond Saliba and Gabriel forbidding to put it away. But I think there's too big a gap here. I want to just show it. I think there's too big a gap there between Vieira and Gabriel.
You think, James, that Xhaka would have had better defensive instincts than Vieira in that situation?
I think so. Xhaka, and I'm not just saying this now, I've been saying it all season, he's a proper box-to-box in the way he gets to the front five to help attack, but how often he does drop into the back four to make it a five, like Partey's done at times, to protect as well. I think... And I actually think Vieira did pretty well. I'm not blaming him for this goal. Like I said, I think there's lots of areas that goes wrong. But I think he defends that area just a little bit better by dropping into it,
and
I think.
And the other point is, if you just highlight Thomas Partey, if you put a circle around him.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think that Thomas Partey loses Billing in that action. And I think Thomas Partey is looking across, expecting the ball to come more central. So he doesn't pick up Billing, he switches off because he's looking across at what's happening out there. He allows Billing to run off him. They get lucky with the deflection, but you know, they work it well. They make the most of the situation. They're alive to the situation.